I want to talk to you a little bit about personal safety. And really, as we look at our children's ministry, we want to make sure that we have a good reputation, that this is a safe place where families want to be and where kids want to be. So we want to make sure that we have policies and procedures in place to keep our kids safe, but also to keep our workers safe and guard their reputation as well. We do a lot to screen our workers before anyone volunteers in the classroom. They fill out an application, we check their references, and then we do a national background check on them. Lead teachers are working toward getting them all to be members. So we do a lot to watch out for one another and make sure that we are being really wise about the process of selecting people to serve in the ministry. So we also put other policies and procedures in place to keep our classrooms safe for kids and for workers. Most of those are listed in the volunteer guide that you probably got when you started serving with us, and even parents, if you'd like a copy of our volunteer guide, which covers a lot of the policies and procedures, just let us know and ask for one and we'll get that to you. Our goal is that there would be at least 2 adults in every classroom. We know that sometimes that's impossible. Somebody has to run out and get something, or tend to a child. And so we've tried to ensure that every classroom has a large window outside or some kind of viewing window. And there's service coordinators who are always on duty, and they're walking around and looking in every classroom. Parents can come by and look into the room to see what's going on at the moment. So we try to make that a really safe environment with at least 2 adults with kids at all times. Even in the nursery, we have a really strict policy for diaper changes, and that only females can change diapers, and they have to be at least 16 years old or older. We even say that dads who want to come in and change their own child in the classroom can't do that. They need to take their baby out to the men's room or a changing table that's outside the classroom, so that nobody waiting in line or nobody walking by will see a man in the classroom, and then it will undermine their confidence in our policy and say, wait, I saw on Sunday a man in there changing diapers. So if you're a dad and you want to change your kid and we ask you to do it outside the classroom, know that we're doing it for a good reason. We're just trying to protect the integrity and the confidence that people have in this ministry. As kids get into preschool and elementary and they need to go to the restroom, preschool, we keep the restroom doors open, and usually the teacher stands at the door and can hear what's going on, can call in instructions, and once in a while they need to go in and help a little guy snap their pants or a little girl pull up some things. So occasionally we do that, but almost always there's someone else nearby who's watching. In elementary, by the time you send kids into the restroom, if you're taking your class by the restroom, it's always good to stop and open the door, look inside, make sure there's nobody in there, or nothing sharp or dangerous is out, and that the restroom is safe for kids to go in. Let them go in. If you need to, stand at the door. You can prop the door open and stand in the doorway, and that way you can hurry up kids or give some instruction, but make sure you don't go in and let the door close behind you. Just be wise. We always want to make sure if you see something and it just looks a little off to you, it looks like this person isn't even aware that what they're doing could be misinterpreted, will you say something to them? Would you remind them? We want not only the environment to be safe, but we want to protect even the reputation of our workers. So we need to watch out for one another. Kids love to give hugs, and they love to be affectionate, and as teachers, we want to respond in a really godly way. So we have some guidelines for showing affection and want to make sure that you're not doing anything that could be misinterpreted. We don't give extended hugs. Usually men give a kind of a side hug, or if the kid gives you a hug, it's very brief. We don't do any kissing or sitting kids on your lap especially. You've probably seen us remind even youth helpers not to have kids sitting on their laps. And of course, never being alone with a child. So be wise as you're dealing with kids. On the other side of things is discipline. And again, we want to make sure we're very careful about our discipline. We want it to be as positive as possible. So we're going to spend some time with a kid who's having a little bit of trouble today. We're going to do some coaching with them. We're going to have a conversation with them. We're going to spend a little bit of time praying with them. We may have to talk to the parent. We may have to put them in timeout, or they have a loss of privilege for a little bit. We also use a lot of rewards and incentives. So we try to be as positive as possible when we're disciplining our kids, because we're focusing more on correction than on punishment. We don't want to do anything that's punishment based. So you're not going to see any spanking or any harsh language or yelling or calling names. We don't do any of that stuff that's considered, that would be considered more on the punishment side of things. Keep it really positive. As we're interacting with kids, unfortunately, we live in a world where not everyone is showing that kind of care for them. And so sometimes kids will tell us something that's happened to them, some kind of abuse or neglect or something. Kids will say something that they want to share in confidence with you. They want you to pray about, but you know that this is more than just ordinary discipline at home, that something else is going on. Maybe you even see some evidence, some marks, or some drastic change in behavior. And that manual is going to help you look through a lot of those kind of symptoms to look for. If you do hear something or see something that you suspect, we want to say something. We want to do something, but we want to do it the right way. So I want to give you a couple of guidelines for what to do when you see or hear something that you suspect as being abuse or some injury to kids. First of all, I want you to stay calm. Too many times in the classroom when a teacher sees a child they love and they see marks or they hear a story, it's just too hard for them, and they want to be outraged. They want the injustice to be taken care of, and so they tend to get worked up, and that's not going to help anybody. At that moment, we want you to stay as calm as possible, not overreact with the child, but listen and be caring. The second thing I want you to do is start praying for that child. You may even take time, if the child is old enough, to pray with them right then. Start praying for the family and begin to keep that attitude of prayer as you go through that process. The third thing is you're going to want to let the service coordinator know. In each of the ministry areas, there is a service coordinator who's on duty. They need to know. So because they're going to start the process, so they're going to come get one of the children's ministry staff so that we can start that process, but you got to let somebody know. The fourth thing is, as you come to them, I want you to be prepared to give them some of the information off of the attendance sheet, the child's name, the parent's name, phone number, whatever information you have. Make sure you give that to the service coordinator so we can begin to follow up and do what's necessary. After the service coordinator hears what your report of what you've seen or heard, and maybe they'll talk to the child or the parent or the counseling pastor. There's a whole process for them to go through. You're going to be asked to fill out a simple ouch report, the same thing you would use for an injury, and just write down what you heard, what you did, and if there was any contact with the family, which there probably wouldn't be on your end. That'd probably be more on our end. But we're going to want you to document at least what you told us so that it's in writing somewhere. Then we want you, the next thing I want you to do is keep on teaching your class. Don't let it rattle you and distract you. God has put another group of children in your care, and I want you to continue to teach and care for those kids. That's what you're there to do. That's what those little kids came for. They wanted to hear the word of God. They wanted to be taught and cared for and prayed for. So keep doing your ministry. And then the last thing is, I want you to watch your words. Be really careful as you lead class or you talk to other workers. Make sure that you don't uncover a situation or spread any gossip. Keep your words to yourself. Keep them very private. God is going to work and do a work of healing and restoration. And so we want you to be part of that process right from the beginning and respond in a really godly way. As leadership, as leaders of the church, we are mandatory reporters. That means that the state requires that we report within 48 hours anything that we suspect as being any kind of abuse. And so that's what we'll do. We'll make that report. Sometimes we will call the state and say, hey, here's kind of the situation. We heard this, saw this. What do you think? And then they'll give us a recommendation about whether or not we should actually fill out a file and start a report. But we trust their judgment, and so we want to be open with them. Then we also want to come alongside that family, come alongside those parents, and start providing the support that they're going to need as they walk through this process of getting the help they need. We want to do everything we can to keep this ministry as safe as possible. And so we need your help. We need you to be good representatives, not only of Canyon Hills, but of the Lord Jesus Christ. And so we all are going to agree together to abide by these policies, to go through the process of making this a safe environment. So watch out for one another. Keep this a safe place for kids and for volunteers. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're serving with us. There are lots of parents who are trusting us to teach their kids and to keep them safe. Thank you so much for helping us do that.